little bit of time to convince our parents that we're going to a midwifery center, because that's also new. We are in a good city. We're not in some village where we don't have good hospital facilities or anything. And like his parents know all the doctors here in Mysore, and they're like, okay, we have everything here. Why would you want to travel to Bangalore while you are in labor and give birth somewhere else? Like, why can't we do this here? And that itself took a lot of conversation, a lot of convincing, a lot of understanding and everything.
Welcome to the Birth Agni podcast, the fire that births us and transforms us. This is a space where women reclaim birth on their own terms, where deep ancient knowing meets primal courage. We talk birth, womanhood, breastfeeding, parenting, and the quiet power of choosing differently, choosing of our own. Come as you are, leave more rooted. I'm Divya Kapoor, a childbirth educator, lactation counselor, trainee traditional midwife, and doula, disintegrating the politics of birth, one story at a time. Part 1 of Surabhi and Darshan's positive birth experience at a birth center. In this episode, this fun couple takes us through their very serious and keen preparation for the birth they imagined. The negotiations they had to do, the constant boundaries they had to draw with the medical system, how right and in-depth knowledge played out in all of this, how Surabhi arrived at the decision of a birth at a birth center from earlier eyeing a home birth is a powerful example of the inner work and self-direction which is so essential with the noise around the birth ideologies we see today. Surabhi is a prenatal yoga instructor, founder Gubbi Guddu, with specialized services in conception, prenatal and postnatal yoga. She's also a doula in training. Darshan would very sweetly like to be introduced as Surabhi's loving partner. Here we go into our conversation. And as always, if you find value and encouragement from these stories, please rate us and review us on Apple or Spotify or whichever platform you hear us from. It incredibly helps us being discovered across platforms, and that is your contribution to helping more moms find this podcast that you find so inspiring. And if you would like to donate to the podcast and support the production of this independently run podcast to ensure that the free resources available to everybody just like you, we highly admire that sort of support. That is again your contribution and a remote participation into ensuring that authentic birth information, unfiltered, goes out to more and more couples, families, and women out there. Thank you. Hi Darshan, hi Surabhi. So excited to have you here. And we are going to begin with the very first question as to how was your birth experience? So if you were to define it in a line or so, both of you, not together, one by one.
I think the birth was a fun roller coaster ride with a lot of surprises. That's how I would describe it actually. It was quite adventurous, to be honest.
So we basically manifested the whole birth. It was surreal and sort of spiritual in a sense because we felt it very differently. That's probably it for me, like just 3 words.
Did you cry at any time, Darshan, through the labor
Oh, yeah, yeah.
or birth?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
How many times?
I mean, Divya Kanal is a better person to tell you how many times, but couple of times maybe. Like, couldn't see her go through it. Though I was prepared for that through like 20 of the videos that we used to see every day. But I don't think I was prepared for her to be the hero of the story. So,
Yeah, or the
yeah,
birthing person.
yeah.
Yeah. So for the audience, Divya Kanal was a doula for the birth and she supported them. So which is why she probably has greater details. to share about.
Yeah, from a third person perspective, yeah, she probably has, I don't know, seen and probably remembers more of this
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
than probably we do from our own
yeah,
perspective.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you had a no, I would say natural birth pretty much in the hospital, and you declined pretty much all the interventions that are usually there, and you birthed in a birth center. How did you prepare for all of this? And your negotiation with the birthing center is really an interesting take and interesting point that should be highlighted in the podcast for parents to be able to put their foot down and say, okay, this is what I want to do, even if it's for the very first time that the hospital or the birth center is experiencing it. We're going to do that. So we're going to come to there, but before that, like, how did you prepare for the birth?
So for the birth preparation, I think it started way early, uh, before even we got pregnant, because I've been in the same line of work, right? So there were a lot of things that I used to study, and through my doula course also, whenever I came across a lot of things, I used to just share those thoughts with him, and we used to have discussions about, everything. So I think we kind of had our non-negotiables set for a very long time. But things did change in pregnancy. Some of the things that we thought we wouldn't do, like taking any medications for probably nausea, vomiting, or anything, like that did not work for me because I used to throw up like a lot. I was dehydrated, I was sick, and I needed the assistance of some sort of medication. So I think throughout the journey, we slowly started understanding that this isn't going to look like we imagine it to be. There are going to be some things that's going to go off track, and it might not be what we thought it would be like, but we'll have to kind of like maneuver around it and like figure it out. So throughout the pregnancy, the preparation was more with Divya Kanal through her hypnobirthing course that we did with her, and that gave us a lot of perspective in terms of a lot of all the mental barriers that we had. It opened up a lot of conversations between us. We slowly started understanding what is it that each of us wanted out of the birthing process. That's also something that we kind of understood while doing the course with her. I think it was a lot of conversation, it was a lot of talking, it was a lot of understanding us as to where we both individually stand and what is it that we can do together. What is the midpoint for both of us, where I am also happy, I'm also getting what I want, and also I'm taking his view. But again, I think I certainly was the center of it all, and he kind of had to maneuver and change things according to me, because I think we were pretty much set on doing a home birth, because I've heard a lot of students talking about a lot of experiences that I've been through, not great experiences. The birth plan would be something, the thought process would have been something, the support that they got until they reached the last leg of it, like the 37th, 38th week would be something. But at that 38th week mark, there's mostly a lot of things that start coming up, right? Okay, this is not right, this is not right. So let's do this, let's start with this. And that trajectory from the 38th week to the birth is like very different from what they would have talked or what they would have imagined. So keeping all of this in mind, I think we kind of, like I told you, right, we did that list of non-negotiables, and Divya Kanal helped us a lot in terms of understanding the fact that irrespective of wanting to go to a birthing center, it will still be a hospital. So there are certain things that they will have to follow as a hospital. So if we are not okay with it, then we'll have to find another route. And that another route would have been to give birth at home. And he was up for a home birth. And yeah, he was probably the one who was like really up for a home birth. He was really confident about it. And I thought I was too. And we started discovering and trying to find people to assist us with the home birth, probably a midwife. Anyway, Divya was there with us, and she was open for a free birth. And I think it's all the anxiety around, with from the people around you as well, right? Like we have his parents, my parents, everyone who needs to know okay, we are safe through the process. So keeping all of that in mind, I wanted to have a midwife, at least one medical professional who can help us through this just in case. And we tried to find somebody, and we were not very successful with that. And that's when I realized that I did not want to have a home birth. I was probably not ready for it. I was scared about it. And I was like, I don't know what this is going to bring during labor, and I don't think we are equipped for it. So, and we did not find any hospitals here in Mysore who would take us in case of an emergency also. So they're like, okay, no, but this is like too scary for me, and it's just a thought of giving birth at home started making me anxious. And that's when we kind of like fixed on giving birth at the birthing center. For me, that was like the middle ground. Home birth was too much. Going to a hospital was not something that we wanted to do. So a midwifery center was, like a middle ground for us, and that's how we ended up choosing that. But doing it at a midwifery center also, birthing center also comes up with its own, you know, uh, I mean, there are certain things that you can negotiate, there are certain things that they will not agree to as well. So the birth plan conversation was probably the most fun conversation that we have had with them. It was like an hour and a half long conversation we had with them.
We'll
We
get
had
to
it,
that. No,
yeah.
we'll get to that. But before that, I want to ask Darshan, like, what were those eras where so there are so many things you spoke in this, explanation of how the preparation was, and so many important nuances right there. And I love the honesty in all of this because it is important for a woman to feel safe wherever she gives birth, and it's wise and sane to want to have somebody skilled because birth, as much as it can go smooth, uh, a majority of the times when it doesn't, then you do need support. So that, like, small amount of, and then again, it really depends on the people. Sometimes they are very sure that it's going to be okay, and that surety, if it comes from within, it's fine. I'm absolutely up for home births and free births. Of course, I do support home births. So, and free births as well from that same. But if there is something that it feels misaligned in the body, that's a signal that probably there are a lot of forces within us, the baby and the spiritual world, that are asking us to probably choose a different route for our own best. And it's beautiful that you mentioned that with all honesty, and I love that. And then about both of you converging to a middle ground when you had different, probably, understanding of different things. Could you give one example for our listeners, couples who are listening to this, preparing for birth, to understand that it's not always that a couple would be, you know 100% aligned with everything along the way. And of course, you must be rediscovering a lot of things or discovering a lot of things along the way, even through those discussions, which are so healthy and important to have. So do you have any, like, examples at the top of your mind?
So I was like a big proponent of home birth for no reason because I thought I knew everything. Like, I mean, also men with their adrenaline rush. Like, yeah, like I am ready. Let's do like a home birth. Like we'll have a great story to tell. So I'm like a big proponent of that. She is like I'm the one doing it. So I would rather have peace of mind while going through this than have like a great story to tell. So that is something we always had like a debate on. But at the end of the day, I mean, slowly, what was our mindset at the very beginning of starting the whole birth prep to where we actually were at the final stages is we never know where we'll give birth. Like that's not in our control at all. We think the gynac is the one deciding. We think we are like the ultimate ones that are deciding and all of that, right? Like nothing. So by the end of it, I'm like, okay, expressway, we are doing it there. If it's home, we are doing it at home. If we are doing it at Astrika, we're doing it there. Like that's our midwifery center that we chose. So there were things like this, and also like here parents tell, right, like 10th standard is like the point you turn, like after that you're all like free, you're like successful. Then it becomes 12th standard, it's like a dangling carrot. So the real thing is if you're an involved parent, the first birth is your actual test. Like I had to work, come home, sit through 2 sessions every day to prepare for the birth. But frankly, like uh, initially I thought I know everything. But then I started sitting in the sessions. I'm like, they're stating the obvious, including your sessions. First session, I'm like, why did we pay for this? Like, what are we doing here? But then eventually after the second session, we realize, okay, this is all obvious, but it never comes to you. So it is the most obvious things that you often forget, right? So, but that delusion has been common throughout from the like the day we got to know we were pregnant to the day we had her on me and like we were sleeping through the night. The delusion was there, like some overconfidence, I might say, but we were so confident that we'll do it. Like, isme kya hai? Like, though there are like thousands of variables that have to go exactly right for it to happen, which I don't know. We were never
Yeah.
in that
We were
idea
not
at all.
scared of
Like,
it, to be honest.
I mean, maybe she was,
I was
but
initially a little bit, I guess, like until until the mid of pregnancy, I think I was a little scared of, okay, what if something goes wrong? I think the fear mostly stood around the fact that people will blame me if something goes wrong. It's nobody else is going to get blamed for this. If I take a wrong step, it's only me. I'll have to go through the pain of something going wrong. That's there. But still, I'll also have to listen to somebody else coming and telling me that you took the decision. And I don't think I was ready to take that blame. I think it was partly that also. And when I realized that the reason I don't want to do a home birth is because I'm not ready to take the blame, is when I realized, okay, I don't want to do this at home. I want to be in a safer place so that I can, no, I don't have to worry about, convincing somebody that my plan is the way I want to do it. Because to be honest, I don't think, I mean, it took us a little bit of time to convince our parents that we're going to a midwifery center because that's also new. We are in a good city. We're not in some village where we don't have good hospital facilities or anything. And like his parents know all the doctors here in Mysore, and they're like, okay, we have everything here. Why would you want to travel to Bangalore while you're in labor and give birth somewhere else? Like, why can't we do this here? And that itself took a lot of conversation, a lot of convincing, a lot of understanding and everything. So I guess like the home birth would have been like a very steep.
no. Inside scoop for all listeners. Like, we are doing a home birth next time with Divya Kapoor. So
If at all.
every 15 minutes, I've decided to drop one inside scoop like this.
Yeah. So no, interesting. I mean, I really like the again the honesty with ourselves, and that's the inner work we keep talking about for couples. Like it's not a victory to birth here or there or a particular way. It's definitely a victory to hear ourselves, do that work, and then be where we feel most aligned to. That's about respectful birth. That's about sovereignty. It's not about all being all by yourself. That is about being autonomous. That is about being you, unabashedly you, vulnerable, truthful to yourself than anybody else or a particular um, ideology. I mean, of course, there are ideologies out there in the birth world, and now more than ever, we are talking about it. That some people are only aligned to free birth, some people are only aligned to home birth, some people are with midwives, some people are not with midwives. They're like, oh, midwives do nothing; they're not required. But there's so much nuance in between these ideologies and in reality that we often forget that it is the couple and the birthing mother, especially. What does she want? And what does eventually she figures out? And it's beautiful that you said in the beginning it felt different. It does feel different. And by the time you hit the 37, 38 week mark, you've already peeled off so many layers.
Yeah.
True, true.
Yeah, going back to your question of what was the preparation like, I think a lot of people, because I'm a yoga teacher also, people think it is all about breathing. It's a lot about movement. So she's going to move a lot. She's going to do a lot of breathing, and she's going to have like whatever the kind of birth that she wants to. I think the real preparation was not all the courses or the practice that I did. It was just purely about looking at myself. How am I feeling, and what is this whole experience telling me, and who am I right now? That self acceptance was probably the biggest and the most tedious work that I did in pregnancy. Like accepting myself was probably the hardest thing to do. It wasn't the body, it wasn't the breath work that was the problem, it wasn't the courses that were exhausting or like overwhelming. It was this. Like day in, day out, you felt so different, and just looking at yourself and seeing at a person that you don't recognize at times and accepting that that person, because you don't have a lot of time in pregnancy, right? It's literally just 9 months.
That's not a lot of time.
It
Thank
is
you for
not.
saying that. It feels like, oh my God, close to a year. But it
Yeah,
just,
It
yeah,
felt like
goes.
an eternity, so it's not a lot of time. But again, it's not a lot of time.
it certainly wasn't, right? So
Yeah. By the time you sit down and start ticking a few things in your list and everything, and okay, that's what we now, this is what we want to do. I remember, Darshan, when we were talking about vaccines in one of the sessions, that this is, these are the resources
I'll
I'm
get
giving
to
you.
a
It's like
rant. Be aware, I'll get to a rant.
Darshan was like, more information to read and decide upon. Do
No,
I
it
need
was
to
like
do
the
this?
most grueling phase of my life. I was about to say that. Like, the yoga and wellness community will bash me for this, but if you really want to transform in life, like really inside out, like be an involved partner and be an involved parent for 1 year, like you are like sorted. It's like when they say if you drive in Bangalore and Bombay, you can drive anywhere in the world. So it's like that. So it's crazy. And
Yeah.
don't get me started
vaccination.
on the doula and natural birth community. I'm like, I'll go on a rant.
Fine.
You guys are crazy.
You mean about the reading stuff and everything?
Yeah, like let me just put it out. Like there are two sides to the story. One side is the whole fantastic, crazy people of natural birthing, where every question unlocks like nine more documents that you have to read, each 100 pages long, with no highlights, no notes, no TLDR, nothing. On the other side, there are these doctors and science people of science, only science, uh, who are like, you take this, you live, you don't take it, you die. Like, choose.
Black and white, like
That's crazy. Like, I mean, that was the hardest thing about the whole pregnancy.
Free birth is one where the person is really sure of what they're doing. They're okay with everything, and that's a very strong personal choice, and it's good. It's definitely good, and I'm sure there's a lot of understanding that goes behind this. And of course, if it's uninfluenced by radical groups and people just pushing you into it, if you really know what you're feeling, like the inner work is done, like what you really want it, it's beautiful to go for it. Same for home births, same for midwifery center births. The problem at the moment is we don't have enough skill support at home. That's also true. I mean, it's a reality in India at the moment. Nobody's supporting people wanting to have an out of the system birth, and there isn't enough skill support to be able to do that. It's not in the terms of years, not in terms of skills, not in terms of study as well. So a lot of us are learning along the line, and there will come a time where we will have that support, and it will be easier for women to feel safer in that setting. And also collaborative care with the medical system, it is important. So my teacher, she had a particular center, a particular doctor that she trusted, that if in case I need to transfer this woman, okay, 99% not, 1% of the women got transferred. Her rate was, I think, 4%, 3% transfer, um, in about 50 years. So that 3% of transfer, if it's needed, then of course, I mean, you should have somebody to be able to. It was easier. The transition is easier. That is also something, that taking the stress of having to transfer, that depends, from people to people. And then you're in Mysore, you have to go to Bangalore anyway for the birth. And if you're at home, then here, do you have that sort of support? If not, how okay are you as a person, with your life story, to be able to just go and then see how it unfolds? So definitely there's a lot of nuance, and not having the stress is primary for birth. The aspect of safety is before safety, inner safety. It's not safety in the hospital, it's not safety here or there. The person wanting to do a free birth would feel safe at home, free birthing with nobody around. That's the safe place that they feel aligned with. And we should respect and take that forward in all our discussions. So, absolutely. And about reading documents, which is why you guys had to prep so much in pregnancy, despite already having prepped yourself, like she training for a doula and done the doula training already, and being a prenatal yoga teacher, she already has so much knowledge.
I was this close to getting into a birth worker, like to transitioning to a birth worker. So I'm like,
But again, I don't know. One other thing that I felt while going through the material and everything, when being pregnant, it's very different from what you feel while reading about the same things when you're not pregnant. It's very, very different. It's not the same. You're a different person as a teacher when you're guiding somebody else, but you're a whole different person to be on the other side and just, doing it for yourself. It's very different. It's not the same. And I don't know about him, but I think I needed those courses because I needed somebody to tell me and I needed somebody to guide me through the process because I knew it's my logical side which knew things. It's the technicality of things I knew about it. But when something came from the emotional side and I didn't know what to do with it, I needed some help there. I think uh, Kanal and you pretty much did that for us. And that's exactly what I wanted. It's not the technicality, it's not the course material of it, right? So I think it was that.
yeah, time for a disclaimer. Like,
Yes.
uh, into birth, no matter how well read women are, no logic comes into play, no knowledge comes into play. It's I really feel like men should be more involved in the whole birth prep for the very same reason, because their body is not going through much change. Their only senses are visual and audio, that's all. Like, for the women it's internal, external, everything. So it mostly should fall on the men to take decisions wisely rather than leaving it for the women in the house. So I really feel like that was so intense for me after having done so much work. So I don't know how other men like are able to take calls and function without knowing anything. So I really feel like everyone has to go through that birth prep journey, no matter how difficult it is, because it is very crucial at the moment when you are at gunpoint and have to take a decision in split seconds. So it is like super important, and you can't rely on any other support. I mean, sorry to say this, but no one will take decisions for you in the natural birthing world. That's something I understood the hard way.
Yeah.
I was like, tell what to do, tell. She's like, you know what to do. You know what to do. I'm like, no, tell. So, so it's better to be prepared than think you will have.
Yeah, that's how transformative the entire
Yeah,
birth process is, because
true.
eventually, if you look at animals out there, everybody is deciding for themselves, and we are supposed to decide for ourselves in our lives. And when we own that responsibility of our lives, we actually learn to enjoy the process of taking
True.
decisions for
Yeah.
ourselves and
Yeah.
realize that it's so rewarding.
Yeah. And it's easy. It's very easy.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you can live with your decision. It's easier to live with
Right.
your own
With
decisions
time
than
is like
someone.
the eighth kid that we plan. Yeah. Right.
No, no, I like that, the aspect of responsibility, because that's also something which is why, like you said, right, it's easier to go to um, a hospital and be told what to do because it's so
Yeah.
No
easy.
cognitive load. Yeah.
No
Zero
cognitive load,
cognitive load. Yeah.
zero. Enjoy, and then whatever comes with it, if you're okay with it, if you're okay with the outcomes of somebody, taking you through an induction, somebody that landing up in a C-section and never realizing that probably that induction led to a C-section and not having a say. I'm not saying you'll still have a perfect story even after birth preparation. Um, Birth is an untamed territory. It's like life. Even if we prepare, sometimes we have a very ideal sort of a result or ideal sort of a birth or process or um, but then again, it's like, which is why we say birth is transformative. It takes us so much back to how we were made by that one power, that we have to take our decisions, we have to do our own stuff. It definitely is hard. I would not say it's not. Being one of the people who always offloads, the aspect of responsibility onto you, of course, rightly so. I understand how difficult it can be at times when you have to decide for yourself, note it down and jot it down and do the work. Um, and yeah, of course, rewarding towards the end.
Yeah, nothing can prepare you for this. I think it's funny to say that you've prepared for pregnancy, you've prepared for birth, labor, postpartum. Like no, nothing can prepare you for what comes towards you. You just have to bat it out the way it does, and you just need to be equipped enough to know how to bat. That's all. I don't think there's anything key. Okay, you get it in this line. This is what is going to happen. I think it's wrong to assume that you're prepared for something. You just
Right.
don't know yourself at all.
Yeah. And the entire process makes you so when we talk about fear in birth, when we talk about fear in birth preparation classes, I always say towards the end, okay, a lot of it we can work on right now, and that's important, the inner work that you did on your own. But towards the end, if there is still something left, it will come out. The process is designed to that, and there is a spiritual angle to it. Like Reba and I were talking on the podcast, and she said, I told her the story about this jackal that I saw. And she was like, if you really are scared of something and you don't know, probably it will come in front of you for you just to know that you can overcome this. So fear is a good signal sometimes. It's not bad. Having no fear is, yeah, having no fear is not virtuous. It's not. Yeah, and I loved when Reba said, and something I hadn't thought about at all. If you're going at the altar of primal things, nature, you better have some fear. You're going into the jungle, you better be slightly scared because then you're going to
To
be,
come out alive. You've got to be scared to come out alive.
yeah, to be able to use your senses when something signals, it's off putting. You cannot be in a dreamland throughout. I mean, there's one thing called intuition, there's another is wishful thinking, and both have a huge difference. Yeah. And yeah, love that. And so from here on, how did you negotiate with the birth center about what you wanted? So it's not that all midwifery centers have your best interests in place. Your best interests are yours and what you want to do. And then also be fluid, being fluid if you really see a lion, which you were thinking wouldn't be there because everywhere it was written that it's a lion free zone. But you end up seeing something to really believe in your senses and know.
No, but again, we feel like every birth center will have enough wiggle room as long as you put your foot down. That's something we realized. Because we have sent across some of our friends to the same midwifery center, but because they didn't enforce it as much, the center also is okay. Like enforcing their own belief
What's
system.
safe for them is
What's
what. Yeah.
what's I mean again, they're also like concerned about their own safety and their
Absolutely.
own ethical binding, right? So
Yeah.
we can't expect them to like go out of the way and do things for us. But you do put your foot down like we did. Uh, they might like scold you to bed for a couple of days, but they will certainly wiggle,
Yeah,
have
they
that wiggle
do, they
room.
do, they do. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think from a preparation perspective, we did the birth plan once with Divya before we went to the conversation with the hospital. So we knew what it's going to look like. What do we need to talk about? What are our non-negotiables? Again, like I think everything went back to that. Uh, Pick up a point, read about it. If you don't know, ask doubts. Kanal was there to support us through that. Then take a decision. Do we want this? Do we not want this? Why do we want this? Why do we? Because we need to know our whys also to negotiate there. So those whys were also something that we talked about, and we went through the whole checklist of the birth plan conversation. And we sat with our gynecologist and also the founder. We sat with both of them. So it was Dr. Vinuta and also Dr. Jani. We sat with both of them for the conversation because I had had a very small conversation with Dr. Jani about lotus birth, if they, allow for lotus birth or something like that. So I had that basic conversation with her. So even she wanted to be involved. She realized, ki, okay, this is not like a normal couple.
It's a corner case.
It's a corner case, and I need to. be there for that. Okay, so she was also there, and we went through everything point by point. For most of it, they were okay with it. They also, uh,
Subscribe to
yeah,
all of
most of the
these
things
natural
that
birth
we do,
philosophies.
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So there were a few of them, handful of them, which we had to negotiate and like have conversations about. That is the induction process. What do we need to do, when do we need to do. I think the whens were the interventions when it starts around 38th week with a simple vaginal examination. That is a routine thing that happens, right? And we started saying no from there, like no vaginal examination at the 38th week. They asked me why. I had to give them the right answer. Ki, my fear is that even just in case there is a rupture, then I'm going to be on a clock. So I don't want to have vaginal examination. I don't want to know what is happening. And if something happens, I'll tell you. I'll give you a call and tell you what is happening. So that was one. Then after the 38th week, then comes the 39th, 40th week. Like at every juncture, there is something or the other that comes up, right? Like there is vaginal exams, there's natural induction, there is synthetic induction, and medication at every point of time. Do's, don'ts, wants, don't wants. Every little thing down to the detail key. I think the final decision that we landed on was key no induction, no touching till 40th week, like nothing. 40 to 41st week, natural induction. Again, no vaginal examination, nothing. We agreed for
Nipple
nipple
stimulation and all of that.
stimulation and, having
Rebozo.
dates, ribos, or whatever, all that, whatever natural ways of doing it. That 41 weeks, 3 days is where we landed on
We
for.
literally negotiated. She came down up to 41.3. We brought her down from 42 to 41.3. So
Yeah.
like,
So she was at 40 weeks. At the 40th week, we will induce you. I said no. And they were very honest with what they can and can't do. She said, if you really want to wait, if you want to go beyond 42 weeks also, then I would suggest that you go to either Sanctum or Birth Village because we as an institute cannot take that risk. So our risk stops at 40th week. Then we prefer inducing. This is what the route that we would want to go with. But if you don't want any of this, this is like a piece of paper you need to sign here. You need to write all of this. We will sign here so that we know that this is something that you have agreed to do. This is not on us. It's just fair. I think Kanal also had told us that you do what you want to do. All they will ask you to do is sign,
which
Fine.
makes
and which
sense.
makes sense.
Yeah.
We can't
It's a
ask them to
great
take the
thing.
blame
Like
for the decisions that we make. So I think yeah, there was a lot of back and forth about it. Okay, 40 weeks, 41 weeks. So we landed on certain things, and it was really a very strong negotiation that we had. Regarding the Lotus bird, we wanted to. I mean, they're up for all the delayed cord clamping and everything. The one thing that we had like a really hard negotiation was on the birth of the placenta. Uh, they have a routine process of giving a pitocin shot for the birth of the placenta. Again, the postpartum hemorrhage, all of that. Keeping the postpartum hemorrhage and everything in mind, they have a protocol in place. They give a pitocin shot soon after the birth of the baby for the birth of the placenta. So we negotiated hard for that.
basically, we had timers on everything. Like give us 45 minutes. If it doesn't happen, then we go your route.
Yeah.
So that was like how we mostly negotiated. Even on the day we got admitted, I think I negotiated with all the people there that give us time till 12:30. If the labor doesn't progress, then we'll go into other induction methods that you're suggesting. So basically, all she got on the day was because she was puking and dehydrated. We let her get an IV. That's all. There was no other medication involved. So it it was mostly as per our
Yeah.
requests.
So I do want to say here that the way you guys are, and especially you, Darshan, being a very funny, jolly person. So even if somebody brings in, a contradictory statement, I'm sure you must have created like, said a joke or something and lightened up the mood. So it was,
Yeah, yeah. Like negotiation, that was the plan.
yeah, it becomes a friendly place for everybody.
Yeah,
That it's
yeah.
not a pull, push and pull. it's a
Yeah.
friendly place, and then to create that atmosphere, I mean, it's hard for people, it's hard for me. So I'll, definitely credit you guys on that, that having that conviction, and yet being that easy going to be able to
Yeah.
hear and not take it upon you that, this is right, that is not right, and you're not
I
really
know. I
following.
think I have to
Yeah.
thank him for that because me going from a perspective of knowing all of this, and I'm very serious when I talk about all of this.
Same here.
And if I were to just sit alone for that birth plan, it wouldn't have gone my way. It's because he kept cracking jokes, and like everyone was literally like laughing, and it's just like, no, 41 days, 3 days, and 41 days. Oh. They're like, it became like a funny thing where you're like
No,
negotiating.
actually, we booked a session for like probably half an hour of her time, but
Yeah.
we ended up taking 1 hour 20 minutes.
Yeah.
She's like, from now, I have decided I'm upping my hourly rate because you guys come here, take so much time, which is okay, but I'm upping my
But
hourly
she was
rate. Like,
actually very happy
yeah, yeah,
that
very
we
happy.
were prepared. That is one thing that she appreciated because she told me that people come here and sit with me for a birth plan and they ask me, what does induction mean? And I'm not in a place where I want to talk about induction anymore. I want to talk about things like this. This is the negotiation I want to do. And this means that you are prepared. You know what you're talking about. So it makes sense for me to sit and talk to you. It doesn't make sense for me to sit with somebody and tell them what does induction mean, how many weeks is your gestation, all of that. That's not what I want to talk
But
about.
sorry, guys, I blame this completely on the birth work community. You guys are doing great, but not making it simple enough for everyone to ingest,
the,
data.
the system is not simple, the environment is not simple. Had it been
Why
simpler,
not? My
it
God,
will
the
come. That's, you
huh?
guys are
Yes,
paving the way for things to happen for other parents. You are making it possible for an hour and a half long conversation, for that, convergence to, okay, not yours, you know bhindi 50 rupees nahi 20 rupees, eventually coming down to that. And helping, you helping, you're paving way for all this, and it is important to do that work, no matter how hard it is. And for people who are choosing that, I mean, thank God. I mean, I'm so grateful. We all are grateful to you guys, and parents who don't even realize that, this is the work that may come their way. Yeah, so grateful for all the work. And for the audience, I want to talk about lotus birth. So lotus birth is where the cord is kept intact with the baby, the placenta is intact with the baby till the cord detaches on its own. So that's lotus birth. It's practiced in some midwifery centers, at home for sure. um, the other thing I want to talk about is most of the hospitals will not let you go beyond 40 weeks. It is not an emergency. That individual care is absent because of the protocols. And because Astrika is under a hospital management, I think, at the top level, they have certain protocols on them. And it is great. And I think Dr. Janvi, with whatever she's got, is doing a great job of being honest about it, because she herself actually went to Sanctum when she realized
Yeah.
nobody is following the research papers. Nobody is really, she did not want to be touched. She did not want any episiotomy. So she, as a woman, really knows about her rights and really knows about what is good for her. And she's well read. She's a researcher anyway. So, I mean, having her in the picture is really helpful. I do want to talk to you, Darshan. How did you explain to the doctor about the placenta birth and negotiate it there? Because it was funny when you seemed to explain how placenta is born naturally, which is like, hey, placenta cannot come out naturally. And uh, if I remember correctly, and then you,
did I narrate this to you in one of our sessions?
yes, you did tell me. So you told me that so because I was amazed. I was so happy that they were okay with a natural placenta birth, and I said, then how did you convince them?
No, it was mostly the timings that we had in place, right? Like, yeah, so that was the major bargain token that we had everywhere. We're like, इतने time में नहीं होगा तो then this, if not this. I mean, I had other plans for when it crossed the time also. That's there. I mean, I would have lured them into another loop. That maybe that's the only thing, right?
Yeah.
Most hospitals, not just Astrika, will have like a time cap for whatever reasons. Like in Astrika, I assume it's because they don't want to increase the risks. But in other hospitals, it's mostly like a turnaround time.
Turnaround and a routine thing,
Yeah,
which not been like
which,
thought through.
no, which is because of the turnaround, because
Fair
it's a
enough.
capitalistic way of working.
System.
Yeah, so you put a time cap, and if the time cap falls within their threshold, they'll agree to it. So it was mostly that. The main reason there was ki if you give like a shot of pitocin, uh, Surabhi would still go into a panic. She wouldn't deliver her placenta. Just let me be. I'll crack jokes. I'll do whatever I want to do, and I'll make sure oxytocin is at a high, and she delivers the placenta faster.
Without it was, yeah.
That was my negotiation. Like she said, pitocin. Once we administer, like 20-30 minutes, you should be done with the placental delivery as well. So my point was, give me 15 minutes. I'll ensure it's done. So,
Because I
like,
think, yeah, the negotiation happened because of this reason, right? Like, they told me that no matter how good the environment is that we provide for you to birth, it is still a hospital at the end of the day. We cannot change the fact that it is a hospital. So I cannot ensure you that you have good oxytocin flow as soon as you give birth. What if you're stressed out? Fair enough. I get it. That's when he told them, okay, I will crack jokes. I will make sure that she. And I think that's when we talked to you also about it, right? The use of peppermint oil. We kept everything handy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How the process happens. And I think that's
Yeah.
when you had the negotiation, you came back and told me that the doctor asked, "Oh, how does natural birth of the placenta happen?" This is what I remember. And Darshan, you said, "Okay,
yeah,
I'll
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
put a finger in the mouth and blow on it, and it will just pop out." And the doctor, I remember you said, went back to her books in probably gynecology and thought, "Oh, yeah, that's the natural way of physiological way of placenta birth." And Darshan was like, "Yeah, that's what we're talking about. This is how placenta is born." And so because it's not routine, they've forgotten that this can happen and they had to go back to the books. And that was fascinating to me. And I loved it. I was like, great, this is the power of education. When you tell them that this is how it happens and it can happen, it's already there in their textbooks. They're not following it because the physiological birth is really not followed in the medical system. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I mean,
Yeah, sometimes you just need to like nudge them and remind them that this is also possible. This is also something that you have seen that has been possible. It's just that now that you are in a frame of work that you have worked with for so long that you've forgotten there's another possibility. That's all. And when
No,
you pull them back, they understand it.
no, I feel like these observations will only come out from a third person who has not been through the medical system, right? So there needs to be more people outside of the medical realm coming into birth work. So that's when these things will surface more often, because no matter what you do, like you cannot unlearn 25 years of learning in your brain. You rewire everything in like a couple of years. It's impossible. So I feel like more people from the outside should come and like come up with these initial crazy ideas that eventually make sense.
it's actually a pretty much standard practice in midwifery, and we know this because I'm training to be a midwife, and that's where you learn all these things. That's how you know that this is what happens and this is what works. So that becomes a standard in your brain. Okay, this is how it works. If it doesn't work like that, then is when we go to the aids, and the other things are aids. Of course, yeah, the training definitely is hugely different, and I agree with you that once you trained in a more physiological system, that becomes your belief system. And because you've seen it so many times, you've seen it work flawlessly all the time. It just works, and it's very rare that it doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, we should be able to utilize what the medical system is providing. And even between what the medical system is providing and what happens, there are so many other things you can use. For example, you said peppermint oil. There are so many other nuanced ways you can do things and get it to work, and more manual, more hands hands on when it needs to be. And I
It's
definitely think
so crazy that as a species, we've gone from the one thing that we never thought through about. Like our ancestors had to thought through to get water, to get food, not about
Birthing.
birthing, right? So we have now gone to having to read 9 books, thanks to all the people. But yeah, we have gone to that stage, and yet we have like this is such a dichotomy in my head. It blows my mind every time. Like we have two kinds of people now. One is who are having to read about this to make things work naturally. Like that in itself is
Yeah.
like so counterintuitive to say.
True.
On the other side, there are people who are planning and like checking reviews and everything to book a resort, but to book a hotel and their pregnancy, they're like, "Chalo, let's go 2 kilometers from the house. Whatever we find, whatever they say, we'll just do."
Yeah.
So
I think
it's
that's true. That's
crazy.
it's very scary actually, to be
and
honest
and
with you.
with already like only 30% of the populace wanting to have kids, in that 30% only 10% are really planning their birthing. It's scary, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, I understand because that the dichotomy exists because the options are rarely known. I mean, I think because you are in the space that you are supporting with, women through pregnancy and trained as a doula, you had that exposure to know. And sometimes, and I also, and again, going into the very deeper aspects of sometimes I've seen people shut other people down who are giving you these difficult
Oh yeah.
understandings of you know this is how it can work, this is how, because it's not the norm, and in general everybody will tell you what the medical system is telling you. It feels unsafe to know another aspect. Yeah, and so it's important for people to be open, also as a personality to be open. And I spoke about this to Reba also in that on that podcast, and she said that's also a form of escapism. You are escaping what makes you uncomfortable without doing the work. You should actually be working on what makes you uncomfortable to really get to the other end of the river, but you're running away from it to stay in that cocoon, which may or may not be helpful. And and though so many, um, we have these educators, we have our social media, hardly anybody watches all that educated. I keep getting these messages, oh, your
Because
podcast
you're
is
not
so
cringe enough. There needs to be cringe. Some amount of cringe is
No,
necessary.
actually, there's one thing that I wanted to add with all the conversation that we had, right? Like the gynac that we were in touch with at Astrika also. Uh, we didn't have any gynacs in Mysore. I just did not want to see anyone because I knew what the thought process was going to be like. And
We
we,
did see a couple. Uh, not saying that we are pregnant or anything. We just had a couple of meetings from a work per se,
work
and
perspective,
they didn't have like.
yeah, like interviewing doctors, which is a good thing.
because like I was doing the Tula work and everything, so I just wanted to test waters here to see what is the knowledge, what do they feel like and everything. This is so all of that was there, so I knew that I didn't want to see any gynacs here. That's there. So I just asked my gynac. My gynac at Astrika was from Mysore. So we asked her if she knows somebody here in Mysore, who would support the thought process that we are going through. And she outright said, Ki, no, you will not find anyone. Because when I moved to Astrika, I was shunned. People thought I was crazy. And this is coming from somebody who has been doing this work outside of the midwifery system, has come to the midwifery system, and like people are looking at her, her colleagues are looking at her, and like this girl is crazy, and it's hard for her to justify the work that she's doing. So I cannot even imagine any gynac or any doctor in the regular hospital system trying to do it any other way than what is normal for them. Like even if they want to, I don't think even they are given any opportunities. I really felt sad that day. Even if intuitively you know that things are going to be okay, you still have to intervene. You are trained to intervene at every stage because if at all there's a tiny chance of something going wrong, your hands cannot get dirtier about this. So, and it's really scary for them. Like to see the other side of it was like really shocking for me. I always thought, "Ki, doctors are like that. Doctors are, you get that feeling over a period of time when you think, ki, all doctors are like that. They always do the C-section and everything." But I don't know how many of them really want to do the things that they do. I mean, they probably the hands are tied probably in many ways than we don't see.
I think more than the hands, of course, hands being tied for those few who are aware of what they
Yeah,
have to do
that's
out
there.
of the burden. Many are not aware, and definitely, I think some of the things they end up seeing when they train in the government local hospitals, it's a horrific. I went to a local hospital when I was apprenticing with my teacher KL at home, and I was like, KL, I want to see more births. I have to travel to you to be at a birth to be able to see how things happen, but I want to see more of it. So I went to this local government hospital because they are pretty hands off. They really don't touch you because they don't have time. Really, that's the thing. It was a community hall, Surabhi. I came out of that traumatized to see women sitting in, you know, collectively,
Clusters.
like, yeah, like a herd of, like, um yeah, they were like herds, and the family was sitting outside with their bags. What are we talking about? Sanitization, hygiene, blah 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 in the hospitals. It was
We're just privileged. We're just too privileged. Like,
Very
too
true.
privileged for a resort to be your birth space.
yeah,
You only need a home like setting, which is more personal and private and better
correct.
for birth
True.
than a
True.
hospital. Of course, if it feels better in a hospital system, like in a resort system for you, that then that's it. But I'm sure that training kind of makes you feel that, and you have then cases which are real extremes, not well fed, not well taken care of. Then you end up seeing that, and you think only preventive things will help, so they end up doing everything preventive, and the same doctors from local hospitals end up going to the government hospitals. And I would agree, when I started off, I was also kind of, in the same shallow waters of feeling, driven by, oh, the doctors, the medical system is bad, the doctors are bad. And then I met a few doctors, and I realized I cannot call doctors bad. It's awful of me to call doctors bad. I should be talking about the system, and I should be talking about the training. They are pretty much, it's like a brainwashed army, no? An army that is serving a particular a particular system, and then another army like us, birth workers, independent of the system, serving another set of belief systems. So unless they get the exposure, it's hard, and nobody will get the exposure out of fight. It will always be out of love. It's not going to happen. So yeah, I mean, I can understand how frustrating it can become from time to time for us to see that others are not getting the exposure that we had. And thankfully so, we are the um, blessed, touchwood blessed ones in so many ways. Yeah. And we've covered the preparation part. Do you want to add anything to the preparation part? And I think I'll leave this episode on the preparation aspect, and we'll go into the birth and the placenta birth. Oh, I do want to tell the audience what placenta birth is. So, you give birth twice. So, one is you give birth to the baby, and the second is you give birth to the placenta, which many of us, like me, naive, 6 years ago, did not even know that placenta was supposed to be birthed. And I had something that just taken out of me. So yeah, it's not supposed to be something that is just detached from your body. It is an organ that nourishes, and I'm sure a lot of parents listening to this know what placenta does, but may not know that placenta can be birthed. It should be birthed naturally. There are two births, and then that organ protects the baby even after being born, or while it's inside the mother and the baby has been born, it protects the baby. So yeah, maybe learn more about it.
The placenta isn't for a landfill or for harvesting. It has to ideally serve the baby till the very end, as long as it wants to, and then probably get its own
Space.
space somewhere, ideally in your farm or in your garden. I mean, that is how we wanted it to be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
lotus birth. You wanted it to be attached to the baby till it comes off on its own. Once the
yeah,
connection is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also have the placenta come with us home
Yeah, of
and
course.
then see its own space, like not just go into harvesting or some landfill.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And there's a book on it, Placenta, the fourth chakra or the sixth, seventh
Hmm.
chakra.
Yeah.
I'll link it in the show notes. It's a beautiful book by a midwife in Bali, Ibu Robin. She has a birth center, Bhumi Sehat, there. And she's written this beautiful book about how babies have an imprint on them when the placenta is separated from them and they don't know. Like if the cord is clamped, and I think she at some point talks about she always felt that something was missing, that I had a sibling which was missing.
Yeah. Oh
She
yeah.
had those, yeah, and she talks about
I
that.
think
And
I felt, I don't know, a lot of people might feel like this is weird, but I think the major reason why we did not leave the placenta behind was because It was a part of me. It was another baby which nourished the other living baby.
Yeah.
So we were like, no, I'm not going to leave it behind. Like, that's not going to happen.
Goosebumps. Oh, I have goosebumps. And she said that at some point when she grew up, when she learned about all these things, she wrote a letter to her placenta. Let it
Oh,
go. That made me so emotional. Writing a letter to your placenta, and I was like, probably I'll speak to Devi about it when she's a little grown up. And I don't know what she feels right now. Sometimes children feel a lot of things they don't tell you, because they have their secretive lives, their imaginative lives. And this is what even Dr. Sarah Buckley said in the last episode, that babies have a memory of their births. They might not understand what they're saying, but they do. So you can talk about it when they're sleepy in the other realms of the brain, and maybe early mornings, and let them just process it. You don't need to have them say something or understand. Maybe just have that conversation with them, so a part of their body lets go of what's there. So there's so much we don't understand. It might sound very abstract and very unreal, but people who believe in it do see it. And she said at one point, her son or daughter said one of the best days was the child's birthday itself. And she was like, okay. And it meant, the baby meant that it was the day of the birth. And it just said, as a young, just said it. So whatever imprint that might have had on the baby. So
yeah.
Future episode request coming up.
yes, yes,
You
there
you
will be.
should you should you should do an episode with kids
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
trying to go
Oh,
into imagination.
maybe I'll have to do many and club them together,
Yeah,
because
exactly. Like
yeah,
multiple kids, short
short, short.
talks with them and like probably put it together.
So thank you, Surabhi and Darshan, for taking us through the entire preparation, the deeper insights of it all. I really, really appreciate, and I really think the listeners will also appreciate it. Do you want to add something here, or else we'll meet in another recording, talking about the birth, and how things happened, and how many times Darshan remembers he cried.
I'm still thinking. Let's keep that a mystery for episode 2.
Episode 2, part 2
Yeah,
of this.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
There is a field beyond fear, where the body is empowered to take on labor and birth. To land there, it is crucial to take birth education. To enroll into our unique labor and birth preparation course, reach out to us at www.birthagni.com or scroll through all available prenatal and postnatal preparation classes. Thank you for listening, all in the spirit of birth, womanhood, and freedom. Remember, you got the power. This podcast is about physiological birth and does not offer or claim to provide medical knowledge or diagnosis. Starting a podcast with poor recording tools in the market? It was painful until I found Zencaster. Its high quality audio and video recording, along with the option of a backup, makes it super sturdy and a savior at times. With an easy to use dashboard and super convenient tools for advertising campaigns such as reels and videos, Zencaster is my comfort choice. Go to zencaster.com/pricing and use my code BIRTHAGNI, BIRTHAGNI, and you will get 30% off of your first month of any Zencaster paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. You may also explore their free hobbyist plan to begin with.